with that?
I am totally fine with that.
Whatever. You want it on there. Come on.
No.
Everybody entering in the room right now, if you could just make sure you're muted and that your videos are turned off, that would be great. We are recording, so just be aware. I'll wait till you let all those people in.
Yeah, they're still kind of trickling in. Like as soon as I let them in, then a whole new batch comes in. So.
Good. Just be aware if you are joining us tonight that this is recorded and that it will be on YouTube and Facebook. So if you don't want your name or face or anything seen, then you might want to go ahead and exit now. But we're happy you all are here. And we will be starting in just 1 second as we let some other people in here. Okay. Everybody muted? I think so.
Can I mute myself?
No. You nope.
Darn.
You can't mute. No. Everybody else, yes. But okay, and then everybody know that we do have a chat, a live chat if you want to chat with the other audience members. You can pull that chat up. We have a really lively audience, so we have some fun chats that go on in there. So thank you all for coming. Let me just get mine set up real quick and we will get this party started. And just beware, the chat does go by super, super fast. So if you are trying to privately chat us about a certain topic, or if you want a question asked and we don't catch it, just re-ask us or stick it in the main chat. Someone will catch it. So, but it does stream by really, really fast once we get going. It's hard to keep up with. Okay, so again, if you're in the audience, if you could turn off your videos and turn off your sound, or I guess audio would probably be more the term on that. That'd be great. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Flameless Fireside podcast this evening. I am Celeste. We have Corey here. We are your hosts tonight. Everett will be joining us shortly. He's just running a little late. And tonight we have Teri Wilson joining us in the hot seat. And she is an admin for 35 and Wiser. Super peppy, super cute. So she's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We're so excited to have her on. Before we start asking her questions, just want to give us a plug for ourselves. Go ahead and on Facebook, we have Flameless Fireside podcast group and page. If you could like and follow, that'd be awesome. We also have a YouTube Flameless Fireside podcast. If you can go there and follow that, that would be awesome as well. And tell your friends about us. That'd be great. We'd appreciate it. Okay, so Teri, welcome back. We're excited to have you back. So for those of you that don't know you, or those of us that don't know you, why don't you give us a little rundown about yourself?
Okay. So I'm Teri, obviously. And I created 35 and Wiser, which is a large Facebook group. I try to keep it going with my ridiculous posts.
Good posts.
And what's that?
I said you have good posts.
No, I posted some ridiculous stuff and you totally approved it.
Approve it.
Just depends. Now that I know who you are, I won't approve it anymore. And I work in dental. I have been doing dental for 23 years. I have 2 kids still at home and a white lab who thinks that she's my toddler.
And how old's your doggy? Is it a puppy?
She is a puppy to me, but she's 6.
Oh, okay. Okay. So not really a toddler, but
no,
still feels like it is.
Yes.
Okay.
For the first hot seat question, what's your relationship status?
I'm single.
Okay.
Like totally single? Like
Totally
not even seeing anyone single? Cool. All the guys are going to like that.
Oh man, here come the friend requests.
I know. You're going to get a lot of friend requests and all that stuff. Okay, so I'm assuming you're divorced.
Yes.
Okay, and tell us that storyline there. I mean, you don't have to go into
Um,
massive detail, but just a little bit about
right.
that.
So I have been divorced since 2006. It took a while to actually get it completely finalized. But I have just been kind of floating around, and my goal was to concentrate on my kids before jumping into anything, and really just kind of concentrate on my own personal healing and my own goals. I had set out some goals that I wanted to achieve for myself before I got too serious. I mean, that being said, I have had, relationships, but I just, yeah, concentrate on myself.
I think that's actually a really good step. I think sometimes people
Yeah.
skip that. They
Yes.
kind of just go from divorce to whatever, and they haven't really healed. They haven't found who they are. They haven't kind of,
Right.
got themselves in the right direction. So I think that's healthy. Do you want to share
Yeah.
with us what some of your goals are? Or are they
Oh,
personal?
were.
Were. Okay.
So one of them was I wanted to be able to travel at least twice a year with my kids to do something to build memories. One of the things that we decided as a family was that we were going to have less things and more memories. So their 9th birthdays, their 16th birthday, and their 18th birthdays were the big travel birthdays. They didn't have birthday parties with friends. They just didn't get a lot of things because I felt like, I one Christmas I asked them, what do you remember getting at Christmas? This was the week later, and they couldn't answer. So I thought, okay, what was your favorite vacation that we had? And they had all these memories, and they could tell me everything. And that's when I was like, okay, do we want less things and more memories, or more things and less memories? So they opted for more memories. So
That's fantastic.
that was kind of
Yeah,
parent.
those are the best.
Wow.
Yeah, those are the best memories. I mean, my sons are in their 20s, and we went and did a Disney World last year. I flew them out to to Orlando. I flew down to Orlando. We met in the airport, coordinated everything perfectly, and spent a couple days down there in Disneyland. It was a blast, and they still remember that. I mean, they talk about it all the time. Like every time we talk, they're like, "Dad, we need to do that again. That was awesome. Great memories." Even though we had to wear a mask everywhere, but
Yeah.
Right.
they
No
still loved
crowd.
it.
Wasn't
There was
a lot
no
of
crowd.
crowds,
That's true.
right?
Well, and my daughter, she was 9 and she started diving with me.
Oh.
So, I mean, there's not very many kids that have the opportunity to be able to see the world differently. So,
Yeah.
and we dove in Honduras and Belize together. And by the time she was 12, we were diving in the Florida Keys.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
it
That
was fun.
sounds amazing. I didn't think you would let a kid that age do that. So that's great.
Well, it's tandem. So they have to have a weight belt, and then you have to be tethered to the actual instructor.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
And were you her instructor so she could be tandem with you? Or?
No,
Oh, okay.
absolutely not.
Thinking of tandem, this is totally random and out of nowhere, but would you ever skydive?
I have.
You have already done it?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, how was it?
it was great. They did have to push
Already
the
do that bucket list already.
I know. I'm like, look at her. Check, check, check all these things off.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
do you
I
do
did.
when you're 80 years old? You're not going to have anything to do.
I know.
No, I'll make new lists.
I'll add more. But
Yeah.
seriously, was it hard to get out of the plane? Because I really want to do it, but I fear if I get up there, like that getting out will be something I may not do.
I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified the first time. But I did it over the North Shore of Oahu, and it was tandem, of course, and I have a choice because the guy was 6'4", and
So he's like, here we go.
yeah. And I just remember going, no, 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 no. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
That was it.
That would be me too. I think, no, I've changed my mind.
Yeah, there's no changing your mind.
Okay, cool. As long as they can force me out, I think I'll be okay. If I have to do it on my own accord, it's not going to happen. I don't think.
It's hard.
Yeah, I think for me, I would have to just like not even think about it. I'd be like, okay, think about something else. Get all the way up there. When the door opens up, just be like, go, Geronimo. Don't even think about it. Don't have second thoughts. Just be out the door.
The problem is you do think about it.
I know, but I think I'd have to really concentrate on like, oh, I've got to not think about this right now. And
yeah, no, you do.
I'd be afraid I'd be like a cat trying to throw a cat out the door, which is like, I'd be like scratching and like clawing.
I was sweating in places I didn't think I could sweat in.
Is it easier the second time?
Yeah, a little bit because I was a little bit more prepared, but just with knowing
What to expect.
But yeah, I've always had that daredevil side of me.
Yeah.
So guys, I have a question. Is it just me? Is my video kind of really choppy, or is it Teri's? Because Teri, you look really choppy to me.
Yeah, Teri's is chopping up a little bit.
Okay, good. I thought it was my end because it said my video was, or my bandwidth was low. I thought,
I think.
But now that we know that Teri's just on AOL, she's still on 56K dial-up, then we're like, all right.
I think her dog is he's gaming in the other room, so he's streaming a lot.
Oh yeah.
Or she's online, streaming, a little.
Right, dog's chewing up all the bandwidth.
Wait, you know what? It could be because my son is upstairs gaming.
Yeah, maybe have him get off.
Yeah, he's burning up the. Yeah.
Yeah,
you might have to tell him to like go watch a movie or something for.
We're not even at 56K right now. We're at like 28 days on the good old dial-up modem. You'll get disconnected. Someone will pick up the phone and then they'll kick you off. You're gonna have to like log back in again.
Oh my gosh. Should I
Those
just
are
call
the
him?
days. Those are the days. I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, you have no idea what it was like to get on the internet back in my day. It was like,
Yeah.
I had to fight with the wife because she's like, oh my gosh, you're on the internet. I can't use a phone.
I might be missing a phone call. Someone's trying to call me.
Okay, I just text him. So
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully
yeah.
we'll get you to where you're not looking like you're in strobe lights,
Or like I'm having a stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah, your audio sounds fine. It's just the video that's like super choppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's all right. It'll clear up.
Well, I'm
once
not looking at myself, so I don't know.
Look
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Fabulous.
Wow.
So why don't you tell us a little more about your hobbies and the things you like to do? Obviously, you like to skydive. You like to go swimming. I mean, not swimming, diving, things like that. What else? What else do you got on your list?
Oh gosh, I don't really have anything like set that just I do all the time. Well, besides running.
Oh, stop. You run all the time.
I know.
Every time I turn around, it's like, hey, Teri's posting about jogging again. I wonder what Teri's doing. Like, just go look down by the river. She's jogging somewhere.
Hey, I ran 11 miles yesterday, and you know what? I didn't run at all today. So
I barely drove 11 miles yesterday. I don't know how you do that.
Well, I don't know how I did it either. So I got into this furniture building hobby like a couple years ago, and like refurbishing and that kind of stuff. He just told me no. He's like, I'm not getting off Xbox.
You tell him that my video doesn't work because you're on it.
Hey, you're messing up my podcast, my redo podcast. Come on now.
Right. He's like, take your phone off Wi-Fi. It is off Wi-Fi.
So Teri, I apologize. I was a little bit late because I'm kind of running kids back to drop off tonight. I was actually over in your neck of the woods all weekend, over in the good old Tri-Cities. Yeah, beautiful weather. And then I came back to Portland and, went through a massive hailstorm on the way through the gorge. And then it's been dumping rain over here. I'm like, yeah, totally different world than the other side of the state, but
Right.
fun times. So for those who don't know, Teri and I actually went to high school together and graduated together. So I have known Teri for a little while, a short while, I think. And my recollection of Teri always in high school was Teri was the soccer person. And whenever we were out like practicing for anything, you would always see, we had a huge campus on our high school, which by the way, I don't know if you've been up there recently, but they just completely tore out like the track and the football field and everything else. So
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but anyways, so we would be sitting there and then these guys are just running. I'm like, I don't even know that they practice in soccer. I think all they do is practice running. Like if you're cross country, then you can do soccer. Like, hey, now that you're good at running, just kick this ball through this hoop and you're all right. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So that's all I remember. Like, well, I mean, you know, I remember you always being super nice in high school, but I just remember you guys running all the freaking time. And apparently it hasn't stopped because Teri is the female equivalent of Forrest Gump, who just decides she's going to go out running and just keeps running. So Celeste wouldn't know what that means because she is the one person on the planet who has not seen Forrest Gump.
They've
So
not seen Forrest Gump.
yeah.
No.
Oh man.
I know, that's what I hear.
Well, you have to.
Everyone's
Well,
related
Everett,
somehow.
well, Everett, she just got off. She just moved out of the compound, you know, so she's trying to adjust to society.
That is, I have to take it a day at a time. I mean, I can only do
The communes miss her. Yeah, she's, you know, she.
So yeah, the interesting thing is though, Teri, when I knew you, you were not a member of the church. I mean, I was kind of, you know, it was a smaller group. As you remember, probably there was the little seminary building across the street and we'd sort of hobble over there and you kind of knew everybody that was LDS because if you're not from Utah, I mean, your group of people you grow up with in high school gets smaller and smaller. That's LDS. So, you know, but yet here we are all these years later and I run into Teri again like, oh, okay, kind of weird. Here's Teri running an LDS group. Like, what the crap? That's kind of weird. But, you know, I think it's awesome. I think it's really fantastic. And we'll get into a little bit of that later. But I'm sure you have a lot of interesting stories from your group. You've shared some with us before.
Yeah.
However, yeah, we'll kind of get into that in a little bit. So
Okay.
I kind of interrupted a little bit here, Teri. We're going over your hobbies and everything you like to do. So tell us a little more.
My hobbies are always changing. So I can't just, it's like nailing Jello to a tree. I can't just list one because it changes all the time.
Well, I would say probably one of your biggest hobbies right now is running an admin group of LDS singles that probably gets fairly crazy on just about a daily basis, I would imagine, with that many people.
It can. Like there's a couple times that I have to look at my watch and be like, what cycle are we in the moon right now?
Oh yeah.
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 Well, I mean, if you're in the LDS dating world, it's always in the cycle of a crazy moon. So it can happen any day of the week. It can strike at any time. You're like, well, that one just went off the rails. I've seen some pretty good ones. Gosh, I can't remember if I screenshot it. No, I think I've just shared the links before and some of them have gotten taken down. But, you know, I've seen people who are like, yeah, I will break the devil's jaw and like all these sort of things. And I will like fight for women. Like, you know, because when I get online and I'm looking for somebody, like I would like to date somebody who would break the devil's jaw for me. You know, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so you admin this group, obviously takes up a lot of your time. So you've got two things, actually three things that you do during the day. One, you go to work, then you come home and go jogging, then you admin this group. And you probably don't have much time for anything else on top of that, I would imagine.
I really don't. I will say, being an admin, I feel like I'm very invested in the group just because I created it, right? And so I feel like I have a little bit more of a responsibility to like keep it going, keep it lighthearted, keep it, just all that fun stuff. And so I do invest a lot of time into it. At the same time, I'm not afraid to step away and just say, look, guys, I need to take a little bit of time off.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't allow myself to do that, I would just get burned out. And there's been a couple times I've had to just be like, Okay.
Things are a little nuts right now.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of that, and you've mentioned this before, is you've put together a fairly good admin team that can kind of take a lot of the weight off your shoulders. And that helps for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me, I mean, go through this again. For me, this person that has known you for, gosh, I don't know what, 30 years pretty much. And then suddenly like, here's Teri in an LDS group. Like, wait a minute, what? Like there's this girl that I know that wasn't LDS. Now she's LDS and adminning like a huge LDS dating group. So for those of, I mean, you've kind of shared your story with me before, but there's a lot of people on here who don't necessarily know. How did you get involved with this craziness? Like you go from playing soccer at Hanford, running around the track and the field for ever and ever and ever. And then here you are in an LDS dating group. What happened?
Well, doesn't soccer and like LDS kind of go together?
I don't know. I always thought it was like LDS and board games, but there's not really like a board game group. Well, I don't know. Maybe there is. I never knew of one, but there probably some sort of board game group like in high school.
Could be. Yeah. Chess.
Yeah. Chess club. So, so how did you get here? I mean, haven't you been scared away enough when you come to the LDS dating group and you're like, wait, what? Like these are supposed to be LDS people and this is kind of some craziness.
Yeah, but you know, people are individual. So everyone has their own story and everyone has their own background and it's not my job to judge it. So
good for you. That's a healthy perspective because some people would be like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out. So
the biggest thing is that you have to show them kindness and compassion and just try to understand and relate where they're coming from. So
okay, but not when they show up at your house and they're stalking you. That way I'm like, look, I may empathize with you, but it ends here. Like
there is
empathy is one thing, like creepy stalker. I draw the line, you know.
Yeah, see, and that's all about just establishing boundaries as well, you know. I mean, you definitely have to have those clear boundaries. I feel like I'm able to establish those boundaries quite well. Even within the group, like there's a lot of abuse that happens away from the group. Like this week, I literally was ripped apart in direct message and told that I was being abusive and you know, and all this stuff, and literally all I had said was, look, I don't know your story, I don't know your background, but it seems that you are hurting and I will pray for your healing. And that was abusive. So
yeah, you know, that's kind of the new buzz term in the singles world. And we should do a whole podcast on like abuse, what is and what isn't. And people get like, you want to see people get like their guard up and just fired up. You tell them like, well, that's, you know, if you don't get along with someone, that's not necessarily abuse, right? Like you go through a divorce and you guys are, maybe it's a little contentious. That doesn't mean you are horribly abused. Oh, whew, man, people will come unglued over that.
It's true.
Everybody wants to be an abuse victim. It's kind of like the trendy thing to do. So it's unfortunate for those who've actually been through that, who've been physically abused and things, because it's becoming cliche. Anyways, I digress.
Well, speaking of that, I think that's probably like, we could probably transition to like, that could be something we talk about. Like, I know that people tend to want to say like, you know, I don't know if it's, I'm just speaking from a guy's perspective. You know, I've seen people kind of use the, like, oh, I'm this guy who's super nice and I was abused and, you know, and so I'm the hurt puppy dog and maybe that will draw women in. I don't know if that's something that you've seen, you know, if you've seen people like posting stuff like that.
The victim mentality, definitely for sure. There's a lot of bitterness sometimes that comes across, and there's a lot of comparisons as far as well, this is what I'm used to, so this is how all women are going to be, or this is how all men are going to be. And that's not true. And they're not even giving people an opportunity or a chance to show that that's not true. So, yeah. That's just,
and I think that's, I mean, I think that's easy for people to do, because it's easy to say, you know, if I make a mistake, or if the girl turns me down, it's just another woman abusing me or another woman hurting me. And, you know, I think that that's something that, you know, at least I've seen that a few times.
But is it really that, or is it really them just saying, look, I'm not ready for anything right now because I haven't fully healed from my previous experience?
Probably a little bit of both. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think there are a million people on these groups that simply are not ready, and they haven't healed,
Right.
and they are just simply projecting a lot of their stuff onto other people. And
Absolutely.
to be fair, there are a lot of people who truly have been abused. And in that situation, you know, that should never be tolerated. That's something that should be taken very seriously. But there are a lot of other people too who just simply, apparently I muted Celeste. Sorry about that. I don't know how I did that.
Hi, Celeste.
I waved my magic wand, I guess, and you got muted. I don't know. Sorry about that. So abuse is a very serious thing that should be treated seriously, but it is overplayed, unfortunately. And
Absolutely.
you get that a lot in the group. A lot of people are looking for any slight to say, well, you're abusive. Like, oh, okay.
Well, and here's the thing too, and I'm just gonna kind of I'm just gonna kind of elaborate a little bit on that too, and not to downplay abuse at all, like at all. There are definitely those cases that it is for real, it's true. But when you get those cases where they have to play the victim, and they say the person's like, oh, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in you, and I don't want to pursue a relationship with you. And then all of a sudden, that person takes it as that other person who's not interested is now becoming abusive to them. And the stories that they make up, or the stories that they've, you know, I don't know, the stories that they've basically come up with in their head is not the same as reality, you know?
Well, I think they get exaggerated. It's like the fish. It's like the fishing stories. They start out this big, and then the fish gets bigger and bigger, right?
Right.
Teri, wasn't it you that just posted today about what was it? It kind of goes along with what you're saying. Like, are we going to ghost someone, or are we going to take it a different route? And that sometimes people ghost because it's that scenario. People don't get it. They keep coming back. They keep fighting with you. And I can see that as, you know, it's one of those people that feel like they're being abused, and they're just like, wait a minute, wait. You know,
right. They feel like that there's no communication, but yet they didn't look back onto the communication beforehand when the person's like, no, I'm done. I don't want to pursue this anymore. I'm good. And then the communication continues, and then that person's like, well, you know, it just keeps, it's a spiraling downward mess of just, yeah. I see it all the time. I hear about it all the time.
I bet you do.
Well, as one of the men in the group, I will admit, and I've been divorced for 5 years now. I'm trying to think, 5-6 years now. And when I first got divorced, I had been married for 22 years. So like I had been dating in a long time, and, you know, and I had a lot of pain from my divorce. There was a lot of anger and you know, there was a lot of hurt and disappointment. And so I will admit, when I first started dating, you know, hey, you're on a date, you're having a dinner conversation, and I would just catch myself, you know, talking about my divorce, like, oh, my wife did this and she did that, and she, you know, and listing all the things that offended me and the things that she did that caused a divorce. And then I look back and I'm like, man, that I bet that woman was like, I just wanted to get to know you. I didn't want to hear all this, you know, have you air all this dirty laundry and be your therapist while you're confessing all your pain. And I had to learn, like, and I still catch myself once in a while, like somebody will say, well, what was your divorce? And I don't want to hold back because I don't want them to think, well, what's he covering up? But I also don't want to overshare and have them go, okay, yeah, you're a weirdo. I'm out of here. So
Right.
I made those mistakes early on when I first got divorced.
I think we all do, though. I mean, really. And I think sometimes there's this perception that you need to like overshare when you're first, like you have to explain yourself and you have to explain your situation and let them know where you're coming from. And people often mistaken that as the person hasn't fully healed yet. But there does come a point in time where there's just a tad bit of oversharing that needs to be kind of toned down a little bit, you know. But at the same time, it helps you understand the person and understand the history of that person and where they did come from. And, you know, I don't know, I kind of have mixed feelings on that. Like sometimes I feel like, oh, okay. But then they genuinely share something. I'm like, that's really good to know. I need to know that. Because what if I'm doing the same thing and I have no idea that that's just a trigger, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of helpful at times.
Yeah.
So do you have any, I know this is I just totally rerouted, but do you have any funny stories? I mean, I know that admins have to have funny stories too. Like they've got the crazies that are trying to make, you know, drama out of things, but you've got to have some funny, crazy stories you can share too.
Oh gosh.
Without names, obviously.
Well, yeah. Funny stories.
Interesting stories.
Well,
Even in your own private dating life, how about some fun dating stories? Those are always a hoot.
oh man, if I share some of my dating stories, you guys would be freaked out.
That's good. Go ahead. Yes, we like to be freaked
Well,
out.
here's the thing. Like, if you don't want to share personal dating stories, like I get that. But as an admin of such a large group, you have to have some crazy stories, whether it's about yourself or other people. So, yeah.
There you go.
So early on in the group, there were a lot of people that were reporting this one person. Okay, these people I'm talking about are no longer in the group. Okay, and this was from a previous group that I was adminning in that I had actually left and created this group. So I just want to get that clear. So there was a lot of information that was being shared that this person had like an ankle bracelet and it had like a parole officer, was not allowed out of his home and all this kind of stuff, and was like prying on people. Or preying on people, sorry. Prying is not the right word. And so I kind of just did some digging and I had asked him, you know, hoping that he'd be honest. And he was not honest. And so later on, it was, I don't know, it had to be like 6 months later. He had come to me and was like, oh man, I just got out of jail and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, what? You just got out of jail? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I had to cut my ankle bracelet off so I could go to 7-Eleven. I was thirsty.
Oh my
Wow. That's pretty locked down if they won't even let you go to 7-Eleven with an ankle bracelet.
Yeah. And apparently they have curfews and they're not supposed to go out of their house after a certain time or something. I don't know. Apparently he broke that curfew. So
They gotta be back in by 8.
Oh yeah, Corey knows all the inside scoop on that, huh?
Well, you know, let's explain that, Celeste, because now it's about half the people
No,
out there
that's
going,
true.
well, Corey was in a halfway
Leave
house.
it like that. I think we do it just like that and let people kind of fill in the blanks.
Rumors.
Yeah, the rumors are starting now. No, I was not in a halfway house. So, you know, you guys can now think about something else. I was not on parole, probation, none of that. Didn't wear an ankle bracelet.
It just might be to do with his job.
Might have to do with my job.
Well, a lot of times too is, you know, people are trying to be helpful and they report things that are not true or rumors that they hear. And so a lot of times we have to use our own intelligence and create our own opinions. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm just like, show me the court records, you know. But I had one where I made him mad, and he found out where I worked, and he called my employer, and yeah, that did not end well. I was mad.
So wait, he was a member of the group and he was mad at something you did as an admin. So he calls your work. Was he trying to like get you canceled or something?
Yeah, he was trying to get me canned, and it didn't work. But yeah.
Wow.
See, that's where I'm like, this is where you've got these people who do stuff like this, and then they want to claim that they're ready for a relationship. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, what are you going to do in a relationship when your wife or husband or whoever does something wrong? Are you going to call their work? I mean, clearly, these are the types of things that are like, not just red flags, but they are like, you are clearly not ready for any type of a relationship, whether just dating or beyond.
Not red flags. Those are red.
I was
Those are
going to
red
say, on
alerts.
a side note, we can't talk red flags. I've already got hammered today because red flags, it's not nice.
Wait. We're not allowed to talk red flags?
No, because red flags are different for everybody. And some things are just imperfections in people.
Okay, that's more like a red fire truck showing up and shooting you in the face with a hose, okay? That's like beyond red flag.
You can't even make this stuff up.
Okay, so red flags are microaggressions, and we're offending people by bringing up.
Should we not clap either and just do our little, happy hands sort of thing? Yeah.
Anyway.
Obviously, I don't care.
This kind of goes back to when we were posting this original post, right? There were a lot of people, and I get this to an extent, right? I get that probably the first thing that people went to was this notion of like, oh, great, we're going to have a whole podcast bashing men. Fantastic. Yeah. I want to listen to that. Even though we posted, look, this is going to be like lighthearted. We're just going to talk about like we as guys, because we have an even balance here, right? You and Celeste and Corey and I. And we can essentially talk about dumb mistakes that guys make, because I see this all the time in the groups where it's like, well, nobody wants to date me or nobody asked me out. And then especially, gosh, what was it like when they had that 1 month where it was like girl asked guy, and then guys were like, nobody asked me. And then some of the girls were like, well, nobody asked me, when it was just normal time. And so there's this kind of almost like a battle of the sexes. And I guarantee you've seen it a million times in your group, right?
Yes.
People who are like damaged or hurt from another relationship, and they're just out spewing this out onto other people, and then trying to like they'll just vomit some of it out, and then they'll kind of capture it back and then like act poised and put together. It's like, no, that little outburst, that little blet that you just did, like that's not just a one-off. That is indicative of you've got some things still to work on. Yeah. So
if you're so comfortable doing that in the group, what are you comfortable doing behind closed doors?
Yes.
Exactly.
Good point.
Yes. Yes. So to me, I look at that as just like, all right, this is problematic, and this is something that is very toxic. For themselves, for a relationship, and for those around in the group. So the sad reality is when we posted this, we had no intention of coming here and having a male bashing group, right? But we're thinking, here's the thought process. We always try and take a topic and match it up with the person. And we're like, oh, Teri, okay. Teri's going to have a lot of advice because she's seen a lot of stuff as an admin of a group. Let's talk about, guys, here's these girls over here. You're interested in them. How do we approach them? And I'm not talking about like, hey, hi, how are you? By the way, here's a picture of me with my shirt off, or even worse, right? Like, that's a fail. That is not how you approach a girl. Maybe some, but what are you really hoping to get out of that type of relationship? So anyways, I thought it was interesting to see how many people were quickly defensive And it basically speaks to this ongoing feud between men and women who are like, you get the passive aggressives. I guarantee you've seen these too. The little memes that's like, gosh, it sure would be great if my dream would be fulfilled and I could find a worthy priesthood holder. Kind of like, yeah, none of you guys are. It's like this little backhanded swipe that guys are like, oh, gag, here we go again. But guys are guilty too. We do the same thing. When I say we, I don't remember posting something like that, but.
Well, I think they don't say about their worthiness, but they might say something like, about, being, exercising or being in shape or whatever it is, and there's backhandedness there too.
Yeah. So what we want to I'm sorry, go ahead, Teri.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say what we really want to do is just have a fun discussion about like, okay, what's some good examples of approaching guys and what's some fails. And I'm sure that you and Celeste have both had guys approach you that are just like, okay, that one was pretty bad, right? Or some that are like, all right, well, that one was not bad, right? I love the one, I'll find it here in a little bit. I don't want to spoil it, but I'll share a meme with everybody here at some point when we've kind of got to that point. But now that I've got that off my chest, off my soapbox, we are not here to bash men or women. We are just having a good time.
We want to know the tricks. What works? What works for women and what works for men?
And I just want to say too, I am not an expert at all in this. I'm just going off my own personal experiences.
Well, that's all we want. That's all the men want. Because, if you were an expert, the men are going to be like, yeah, anytime an expert says do this, I just roll my eyes. I'm like, I want the real, the real scoop. Like, give me the person who okay, how many guys have approached you, Teri? And you're like, oh, like 50, 60, 100, and well, let's score that. Let's do the bell curve and find out what's the best approaches.
I will say I am probably one of the tougher ones. And I admit it. If you can get me on a date, that's half the battle. Because I am very selective and I am very tough.
Well, then this is going to go back to you at some point and saying, Teri, what is it that you're really looking for? Or do you really look at all? Are you just having fun being single?
So here's the thing. I will tell you for me, okay, personality and intelligence, being able to hold a witty conversation and be able to do both, like have a deep conversation, but also go and have lighthearted conversation. Doesn't need to be deep all the time. That is going to keep my attention. Somebody who is not genuine, who comes across very superficial in the beginning, especially those heavy words. And I know, Celeste, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They just kind of love bomb you in the beginning, those are the guys.
Heavy words. We want to hear those heavy words.
Yeah, right.
There's guys taking notes right now.
So I stopped using these words.
The guys have their note paper, their pads out right now. So what were those?
What words am I not supposed to use?
But see, it's not really a matter of the words, right? It's a matter of how it's approached. And I was talking to a friend earlier today. I know she's going to be upset if I mention her name, Brittany. we were discussing this because I was like, hey, what are some experiences that you've had? And we were kind of cross-referencing. A lot of the times, the guys in the very beginning, the ones that make me back off, are the ones that are they get very pressured. They're just super. This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. And you're like, well, do I matter? What? I mean, does it matter what I want in this? And sometimes, they look at the first date, or they look at, the first few dates as like a lifetime, like they're sailing an eternity, and that shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. I don't know. It shouldn't be thought of that way. It should just be like, hey, I want to get to know this person. Keep it friendly, keep it genuine, and be yourself,
My favorite that I have seen was somebody who came in to a group. And of course it started off as kind of a little bit of men bashing sort of thing of like, gosh, it would be nice if men actually like defended women instead of bashing them or something like that. And some guy comes in like, it's like off the top deck, right? He's just like, I will defend the fair maidens in this group or something. And I'm like, dude, this isn't the Renaissance. Like, what are you going to do? Bust out your like sword and start hacking down all the competition, you know?
Hey, I have a lightsaber. I would not bring my sword.
Corey does have a lightsaber, actually. It is pretty
He doesn't
cool.
need a sword.
I don't even know you, Corey, and I'm worried about you.
Right. So yeah, I've seen some pretty good ones on there with the guys, and you're just like, oh, there's a few that it just gets so thick. You're like, oh, gag. Okay.
Yeah.
Romeo, calm
Right.
down. Like, we're not trying to like get married tomorrow.
Right.
Or imagine that in a message privately to a female. Like it gets intensified like 100 times. And it's like
so bad.
Okay, give examples.
Examples.
Like,
hold on, where's my pad?
Okay, so
go ahead, Teri.
He always comments like, he's like, hey, you're cute. Hey, you're this, hey, you're that. And I'm like, you know?
Yeah, you're like, I know I'm cute, but I want to know.
Cute. Get to the rest.
No, but see, for me, it's like, you know, I don't know, compliment me on like what I say or, you know, my thoughts or things like that. Don't
like, hey, I thought the post you made was really interesting. Like,
yeah.
it's like, okay, at least they're bringing up a topic you can discuss.
Yes.
They're not like, hey,
Yes.
beautiful, I think you're my, you know, future companion or whatever. Like,
right.
And there's nothing wrong with a compliment. Don't get me wrong. But if all someone does is compliment over and over and over again,
there's no depth.
They don't want to know anything else about you other than, hey, send me a picture or whatever. Like that.
I think that's the best. That's a really good idea, Celeste, if you think about it, because you are, like Teri said, addressing something that she posted. She thought it out and she posted a comment and it was well thought out. And if you can then go in and compliment, hey, I really like what you said. That point of view was very interesting. And then bam, just let that compliment go. Not compliment her like your eyes or, you know, I saw you in that running picture, you know, you look good in those running shorts.
Nice in your leggings.
Stop.
Yeah, so if you compliment or even just to even further discuss a comment made or a post made by the individual, because like you have to get out of the purgatory message area. You have to be able to transfer into the normal message area. And that's a big step.
I will say if somebody can pull me into a deep conversation and you can go in so many different topics of that deep conversation, I could spend hours talking about in-depth things and in-depth topics. But as soon as it starts going superficial, the instant thought in my head is, you're not being genuine. Mm-hmm. You're trying too hard. You're overcompensating, you know, for something. And it makes me kind of sit back and go, you know, like,
well, there's going to be some superficiality probably right from the start, a little bit, right? Like, hey, so, oh yeah, so you're from Texas, right? Did you know there's tarantulas in Texas? Like, that's great. Celeste's gonna laugh. Inside joke, but she hates spiders and didn't know there were tarantulas in Texas. But you know what I mean? Like, there's this just kind of some basic kind of icebreakers and stuff. But then you have to be able to like move along in the conversation and not. I feel like there's too many people who just. I'm sorry, I'm talking way too much, but I'll just throw the slot out and then I'll let you. I feel like there's too many people who are trying too hard and not being genuine. And just letting the chips fall where they may. Like, I'm going to be me. And if you like it, sweet. If you don't like it, okay, I find somebody else. And that's it.
And I will say, before I forget, Everett, I will say that is very, very true. And both sides do it, right? So like, you know, sometimes I get accused of being too lighthearted. Totally get that. But what I'm saying is that, and like you had said before, there comes a point in time where that conversation just needs to swing a little bit and get a little bit more in depth and asking questions like, tell me about yourself. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? What does this have to do with getting to know me? Because favorite color today may be blue and tomorrow it may be purple. Or what I had today for lunch was tomatoes, but what if I want a big steak tomorrow?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, today
Yeah.
I'm on keto, but tomorrow's my cheat day. So
Right. And I may eat a whole pizza.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the basic supposedly get to know you questions like, your favorite color, those type of things, like those don't say anything about who you are.
No.
Asking about your children, your background, where you grew
Right.
up, what is it you
Okay.
like to do in your spare time? Not being creepy, not like bank account
Right.
numbers, but
Right.
What do you
I
do
will
in your
say
spare
though,
time? I stalk people on the
I
internet.
stalk people.
It's my thing.
okay, so
I
just kind of
catfish.
brushing across the children thing. When somebody asks me, I'm only talking about me here. Somebody asks me how many kids I have, and I say 2. That's usually a don't ask anything else until I get to know you, because I protect my kids. And
Huh.
if they, how old are they? What do they do? What are they? I'm going to be like, no.
Where do they go to school? What time does their bus drop them off? Where can
Yeah.
I meet them? You're like, I'm a little uncomfortable with this.
What's the password to pick him up at school? Like
Right.
that
Right.
password's-
Right.
Yeah. Do they have
What are they wearing today?
yeah. Yeah. Things like that. It's just, I think just picking up those cues and understanding when someone's uncomfortable, because what makes me uncomfortable isn't going to make the next person uncomfortable. So,
Yeah.
Well, kind of playing on what Celeste said, I would make a suggestion too. So when somebody there's a lot of the people who introduce themselves, right? They put their picture on, they're like, "Hi, I'm introducing myself to the group and I'm new to the group and stuff." And I think it's really important that if you're a guy, if it's a girl doing this, it's a guy, and a guy sees her and says, "Wow, she's very attractive and she's got a great bubbly personality based on her little description." Then don't do the "you look gorgeous, you're smoking hot," right? Don't. I would suggest you say something like, "Welcome, this is a great place. It's a great place to meet friends and maybe even meet somebody to go out with, and I hope you enjoy the group. Welcome." And you just keep it very simple and be the gentleman. Don't be don't be the creeper who's like, "Oh, you're smoking hot."
right.
Just,
Right.
I
The
see that.
reality
I see
is-
those little comments below, and
Yeah.
They're kind of cringe. Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Well, the
I'm like, how
reality
many of those guys get a DM from that girl and she's like, "Oh, I'm smoking hot. Okay, I think I'll friend request you." I
Right.
don't know.
right. Yeah. I think it's, I always just look at that and go, all right, here's a cute girl. She just posted for the first time. "Hi, new to the group. I'm so-and-so. Would just like to introduce myself." The first thing I think is, well, there goes her inbox. She's just going to get destroyed. That's just what's going to happen. Like, you're going to have all these guys, like, my favorite are the ones from like India or something. And they're like, "Oh, hello, beautiful lady. I would so much to love to make you my wife." And you're like, "What? Okay."
But those ones are like,
haven't even
yeah.
met.
Those ones though, you're like, do not waste a goat on me. Just don't. Your camel,
I'll tell you from my background with my job. Be very careful. I feel very sorry for like the guys that are on the group that are international, because man, oh man, the fraudulent, the romance scams that come from overseas are there are a lot. And so I feel bad because maybe there is a genuinely good guy from Nigeria and he hits you up, and I would be like, "Ooh, romance scams." I mean, I see them all the time in my job. So it's be very careful of those.
Yeah. One thing that I would suggest to guys is since you do want to get out of kind of like that purgatory area, I would suggest that you actually kind of interact with whoever you're interested in on the actual posts. Comment on their comments, kind of make discussions that way. So that they can kind of get used to who you are, how you communicate, if there is any type of spark at all, because sometimes there can be a spark because maybe you guys are just kind of flirty and it works, and then when you go to send them a message, they're not apt to just leave you in that purgatory spot. They're willing to bring you in and say, "Hey, let's have a normal discussion." If you can break the ice on the pages, you'll have a much higher chance of actually getting into a discussion with them privately.
Yeah, DM. Yeah, don't DM them right away, but make some comments on their post, and then later do a friend
Yeah.
request.
And yeah, I was gonna say, don't do a friend request. Like you got to do it in order, in my opinion.
Oh, good. Okay,
I'm
good.
like,
I don't know. I'm just not.
yeah,
See, I'm
right.
already making mistakes.
No, you're absolutely right. So like you talk with them on the posts or on the pages. Then if that kind of works, you talk with them in the DMs, have an interaction. And then it's kind of like, hey, should we be friends? Like, don't just be throwing her friend request out. Cause guess what? It's probably not going to be accepted. Even if
No.
you look like a nice guy, it's like, I don't know you from Adam. So
So
I'm
no, wait,
sorry.
is this a thing that guys do to girls too? I thought guys at least like usually say something,
Not
because
necessarily.
I feel like the girls are always like, they won't say anything. They'll just send you a friend request and kind of hope that that's going to start some sort of conversation. I'm like, I get these random friend requests. I'm like, I don't know who you are. And I've never said one word to you in my life that I know of. I mean, I don't know, maybe in a drunken stupor somewhere last Saturday night, I ran into you. I don't know. But
I can, for
So-
me though, it's different in that aspect because I do get a lot of friend requests just because I'm an admin.
Right.
So I don't have an opinion on that because I don't
That's
really
hard.
a lot of that.
Yeah.
Just I think that they feel like if they have a problem or they have an issue, it's easier for friends, on Facebook. So I don't really get a lot of that, but I've heard about that.
yeah, that's kind of a weird thing. I don't know. To me, I would never just send somebody a random friend request. Like, I don't know what kind of goes through somebody's mind. And maybe there's somebody in the group that's like, well, that's what I like to do, is just send out friend requests. Okay, cool. At least like say something like, hey, saw you on the group. You look interesting. Would like to be your friend and maybe get to know you better. I don't know, something, right? Like, hey, I saw you had a giant booger hanging out of your nose on the podcast. Thought that was cool. So I sent you a friend request. Like, cool. All right. That's your thing. So cool. It happens from time to time,
No, I have a big hair, like a big long hair out of my nose. Like, hope you guys will tell me about that. So Nicole says on here that she has like 6 requests sitting in her inbox right now that won't get accepted unless they introduce themselves and tell me why they sent me a friend request. So I think Celeste is right. Like that there is some magic formula, and I don't have any experience with this, but Celeste, like you said, I think it's probably that order of things, right? Like make a comment.
But I will say though, not everyone's the same way. Like, not
Right.
the same way. So like for me, like I said, my position, I'm like, oh, that person, we have 142 mutual friends. They're from the group. I'm just gonna accept them. It's not, for me, it's different, and for somebody else, they may not have that issue. But also with my Facebook, I don't put a whole ton of personal stuff on my Facebook page. Like my work isn't listed, things like that. I have a lot of stuff that's still private on my Facebook page that it's welcome, for people. I'm like, well, I post more in the group than I do on my own personal page. So there's that, but I feel like it's kind of this gray area because what's going to be okay for one person isn't going to be okay for the other. And so how can you have, I don't know.
But would you feel comfortable if you didn't have if you weren't an admin of your own group and someone just friended you? Like, let's say you get a friend request that you don't have any friends alike. Would you accept that if you didn't know who they were?
So I do have that occasionally. And usually the first thing I think is, oh, scammer. But I look through their page and you can pretty much tell, okay, so I'll give everyone the tips that we use as an admin to decipher between whether the profile is legit and the profile is not. So you go to the profile, the main profile, and you can look at it and it will tell you when the profile was created. You can also go in and you can see if they've changed anything. So what happens sometimes is it will say Ben Staudinger, okay, just making up a name, not a real name. And it will say her profile was created some point in time. It was a female, but then it went to a guy because they're trying to get people, they're trying to scam people or catfish people. And then the pictures, there's only like, you know, a couple pictures. But if you look at the pictures, at some point in time, the picture of Ben Staudinger is not going to be the same in all the pictures. And also the groups listed. The groups listed are usually foreign groups. They're usually like Chinese or they, you know, whatever, Russian. I mean, it's all these groups are just foreign based. And so you can pretty much, if you look at it, you can pretty much tell right away, okay, this is not a legitimate profile. So I do get those and I just delete them, you know.
Yeah,
But
I've seen a few websites, like when you just curiosity click on them and then you see that, wow, it was started, like they have like 3 pictures.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like wow, this account just like what? You just woke up and you said, wow, it's 2020. Facebook's been around for 20 years and I think I'll open an account.
yeah. So here's the crazy thing. They're getting smarter with this now. So what they're doing is they have these profile, these Facebook pages that are created, say like 10 years ago, right? But they just keep changing the information on it. And so as long as you can look at when they updated their last information, then you can pretty much follow that timeline and realize it's not a legit thing.
Wow. It's kind of sad that you have to do something like that. But obviously, as an admin, you do. But
Yeah.
for me, I wouldn't do that. I'd just be like, I don't know you, so no offense. We're not friends,
Right.
you know? And, you know, there's been people that have hung out in my friend list for quite a while. And then I got to know more on the pages and I'm like, all right, then I go back in and accept. But yeah, I have to know them first before,
Yeah.
for me personally.
People that do that, and like I said, my stance is a little different just because
Yeah, exactly.
I have a lot of personal stuff on my Facebook page. I don't share a lot of information. So I mean, even James, the one of the admins, had to send me a check to my work because he's like, I don't have your address. So, but he knows where I work. So
So, you know, here's the interesting thing. I always kind of try and picture it like if you saw somebody at the gym or the grocery store or in a restaurant sitting there and you wanted to approach that person, like what's the proper way to do it? And granted, right? Everybody has kind of those little butterflies. If it's truly somebody that you're like, wow, she's cute or wow, he's handsome, and I'd really like to maybe get to know him a little better or her a little better. Like, what are some things that would be good icebreakers, right? Because everyone's going to be nervous. I feel like the internet gives you a little bit of buffer because it's sort of just like the old saying, like people just spew whatever they want on the internet because they feel safe. Well, you should feel a little more safe too going up to somebody because you're not in person, right? So walk me through this, right? You're a girl and I'm a guy and I want to come up and get to know you. Give me some good icebreakers that have maybe worked for you in the past, or maybe girls in the audience that have had guys that have approached them, right? And they're like, okay, I like that. I think that that one was good. Obviously, I can give you probably bad examples all day long. So, but give me some good ones.
for me, it's just the whole no pressure thing is it's true for me at least.
So wedding proposal has to be on the second chat. Is that how that works?
Right,
Okay. All right. Let me make note of that. Dang, I always get it
So
wrong.
when you're in the cereal aisle and the guy walks up to you, like, what is like, oh, I see you like Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah. Is that part of your personality?
Right.
Okay, so for me, I will say if the guy can make me laugh and be genuine and it's like genuinely funny, it's not like a bad dad joke or it's just it's from his core kind of thing, then it will pique my interest. But if it feels like it's strained and there's too much effort and he's just fumbling over himself, which I get, like nerves and stuff, then I have a tendency to just be kind of like, you know. So Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to properly answer that because.
Well, let's open this question up to anybody, like any of the ladies in the audience. Celeste, I know you've had guys approach you online, both good and bad. So what are some
in
good
person,
online or in
I don't
person?
like the cheesy pickup lines.
Either. We can go online or in person. So
well, online for me, it's like, let's develop a friendship. Let's develop a friendship first, and then, see if there's anything there. That's really important to me, especially online. Because you can pick up things from people very quickly, That's just
I think being yourself is key. I think not delivering some cheesy pickup line is key.
Yes.
I actually think it's kind of funny when they're a little nervous. So I kind of like that, but not to where they can't speak straight. That doesn't work either.
No stuttering, mumbling,
you got to still have
talking really
confidence.
low, like
or the ones that like demand your attention all the time, like they want to call all the time, and you're just like, I should have never given you my phone number, kind of thing.
You're like, I'm busy tonight. I've got kids.
That's why you do everything through Messenger.
Yeah.
Just Messenger.
Tonight's my gaming night. I'm gaming tonight. Don't bother me.
So that's the thing, like for me, because like Everett said earlier, when I get home, I have my routine. When I get home, I change, I go into my running stuff, and I'm out on a run. And if somebody's like, well, what, you can't put off your run to talk to me? And you're just like,
yeah, needy.
Oh yeah, the too pushy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are always funny. And the ones that I always think are just hilarious is when they get like upset, like they just have this outburst. And I always wonder, like, what are they expecting to happen in that moment? Like, hey, I just reached out to you, and maybe the girl doesn't respond in a timely manner, probably because she's getting her inbox destroyed by all these people just blowing her up, right? And then, so then they get mad or something like, fine, if you're going to be that way and or something crazy. It's like, well, do you think in that moment they're going to say, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. Back up. Let's have this conversation. I really do want to talk to you. It's not going to happen. You've just shown your true colors. You're an idiot. Like, don't do that. If you're a guy, don't get mad and don't get offended and don't get pushy. Just stupid.
And the other thing is that when they do that, and then they throw this absolute epic fit because you haven't made time for them, and you're like, well, I have a life. I'm sorry. I have.
You're probably talking to 25 other guys at the same time. It's like, I've got to figure it out. Like, especially at first, when everyone does inundate your inbox, you got to sift through all those people. You can't just, you just can't focus everything on one person.
And it's
well, that's the thing is somebody was posting on there about like sometimes guys want to throw out a broad net and see what gets caught up in that net. And, that's a bad idea. Because I mean, you really need to, like Teri said, you really need to kind of take interest in that person, get to know them and know their interest. Because if you're just casting a broad net, then you're just like, okay, here's the cheesy line and send. 19 people got it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, as a female, and I know Celeste probably already knows this too, we know when that's happening.
Yeah.
Like there's straight across the board, we're like, okay, somebody's option. I'm sorry.
Yeah. One thing that I would suggest not doing, and I don't know how often it happens, but if you come in early on with this kind of, maybe you feel like, the girl is the person for you, and you feel like, hey, this feels right. And I kind of feel like Heavenly Father sent her in my direction. And so if you have that notion in your head, like I would recommend like keeping that inside you for a while, and like not like, hey, I am, oh my gosh, someone's calling me. Sorry.
It's not me.
Anyways, I would recommend not like being like, hey, I totally think you're the one for me, and so that can freak people out. Like maybe save, like if you do receive some sort of personal confirmation, which you very well may, I don't know, like maybe save that to like post engagement. I don't even know, like somewhere where the female isn't going to feel like you're using it as like a manipulation tool. I would just keep that to yourself.
Well, okay, so speaking of manipulation, so I see a lot of passive aggressive and manipulation tactics that go on. And is that lack of confidence, or is that the person being insecure? I don't know, but usually I can hone in on that and just go, yeah, no, I'm not playing this game. Sorry.
Well, I mean, okay, so there's a lot of return missionaries out there, right? And you guys learned how to do, like, to go out and approach people and cold call people and knock on the door, or talk to them on the bus, or walk up to them on the street. It's no different, guys, to just talk to a woman the same way. Like, if you're in a store and you see, okay, so say you're at church, and I don't know, there's a lot of people out there that are probably in single adult wards. You're going to have to walk up and start a conversation. And I'm sure when you're a missionary, you didn't go up and say, hey, you want to be baptized? The church is true. I mean, right? Because that person's like, dude, you're nuts. I'm out of here, right? Well, let's turn that around. You wouldn't do that with a woman. You wouldn't walk up and go, you're cute. I like you. Give me your number. Right?
Yeah.
So figure out a way to figure out a way to strike up conversation, whether it be, compliment her, I don't know, compliment her shoes. I don't know, compliment something. Figure out a way to strike up a conversation with that person. Maybe you saw her pull up in a car and you're like, man, that's a really nice car. I've been thinking about getting a car like yours. Can you tell me a little bit about your car? Why did you buy that car? And try to strike up a casual conversation. I don't know if that would work. I'm just throwing things out,
Or you can
weird thing.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking sometimes it kind of goes over well if you're like, hey, I'm kind of like, I know this is kind of odd. You don't know me. I'm just coming out of nowhere, and kind of like go into it that way. Cause then it's like the guards are down, some crazy creeper's not trying to get to you. And they recognize, okay, this might be a little odd. I'm just running into you at Walmart. So this is kind of funny, but I just want to get to know you. I think it's okay to be kind of just authentic and be like, I know this is odd, but hey, you're interesting to me or whatever. So.
The thing that always baffles me is that these guys have kids, right? Or they've been married before. And I'm like, okay, guys, at some point you crossed that threshold. You approached a girl, you made this happen, you had kids, like there was a marriage. I don't know if they just got into their marriage and then just got so comfortable that all their game just went out the window and they have no idea how to communicate anymore.
Well,
but at one point,
it happened. Well, the problem is that people get comfortable with not having to put forth that effort, right? We're all divorced for reasons, right? Whether it's, not putting forth the effort, whether it's, not building a great team. There's so many things across the board. I feel like at this point in time in our life, being mid-singles, 99.9% of us don't want rejection. And that's what keeps a lot of people from moving forward, is the rejection.
Well, this is, I feel like you're going to the kind of somebody's core, right? Like you have to be comfortable with yourself enough to say like, you know what, if they reject me, that's okay, because that's not the right person for me then.
Right.
That's it. I mean, if I were to approach somebody and they were like, dude, you're the guy that had the booger hanging out of your nose, there is no way I would even consider talking to you. Like, all right, I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to like keep going. I might pick my nose, get it out of there, but I'm not going to like, overextend myself to some point where it's just like debasing. So it's just kind of how it is. Like, I feel like people are trying and they want it so badly that they're not willing to sit back and say, and maybe this goes back to, have you truly done your own work so you know what it is that you're looking for? Yes. Because if that's the case, then you should feel comfortable to say like, I'm looking for this, and this is who I am. And I don't want to be somebody that I'm not, because then I run into bad situations. Like, just be who you are. And if they like you for that, bueno.
And that's the thing too, is like, so after divorce, right? Like after my divorce, I thought, how can I be a better person for my potential spouse later on? And I really worked on that. Like I knew exactly what my mistakes were in my marriage and what I did and what I contributed to the failing of our marriage. Granted, my marriage did fail because he had an affair, numerous affairs. But at the same time, I contributed to my own things in that relationship. And I sat myself down and was like, okay, what can I do to improve myself to be better the next time around? And I mean, it took a while. It took a while for me to get comfortable in my own skin. It took a while for me to get comfortable admitting that and owning it, but I did. And that's the thing. And I'm better
Yeah.
today because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, doing your own work, and people always say, well, it's uncomfortable. Of course, it's uncomfortable. That's why it's still your work to do. If it was comfortable, you probably would have done it a long time ago and you wouldn't have a problem there. So,
Right.
doing your own work and stopping and looking back and saying, okay, you know what? Maybe they cheated on me and all these things. But just like you said, there was still things I could have done better. And
Yes.
you get to a point where you're like, I'm okay. I'm okay with myself. I'm okay if
Yeah.
they tell me like to kiss off and they're not interested. All right, cool. Like either way, I'm good and I'm okay.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things that my divorce actually taught me was to be more compassionate.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think divorce
Absolutely.
can
Yeah.
teach us a lot of things, right? Like it's a good,
Right.
okay, that comes out. Like it can teach you good things, even if it is a difficult thing to go through. So I was going to
Right.
just say really quickly, and I think we've all kind of touched on this, but I think it's really important to be confident. And, you know, if you come across as like, you know, just like, you don't really feel comfortable confronting the female, they're going to feel that. And I think
Yeah.
confidence is very attractive. And so, even if you're nervous, you can still be confident.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good thing to go with. And, you know, you can't dismiss the fact that all of us have our own things that we're attracted to. So you might be confident and you might like the individual, but maybe there's just not that attraction that, you know, because if someone comes up and you're a smile person and they got a gorgeous smile, like that might take you right there. Or they, you know, might work. So depends on all that too.
I think too, if like for me, if I were like, I'm really sorry, I'm just really nervous, then I would take more of the stronger personality of it and try and make him not nervous. That's kind of what I would, it's just naturally just what I do. But I like it when somebody is open and genuine and
Mhm.
honest.
Yeah.
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 you
I
know-
think
So-
that. So it's normal for somebody to be kind of nervous off the bat, and right, you don't know what to say, and maybe you kind of seem a little bit awkward. Okay, cool. But at the same time, don't like come across as cocky. I think a lot of people try and have this fake confidence, and I don't know who they're trying to fool on that, but you can smell that crap a mile away, right?
Yes.
If
Yes.
somebody is arrogant, like, hey ladies, what's going on? I dated 50 people last month. Like, okay, gag. Dude,
Right.
stop. You didn't
Yeah.
date 50 people last month. There wasn't even 50 days in the month, but you're trying way too hard.
Well, there might have been a lunch date and then a dinner date. The guy might be a player.
Yeah, that makes me want to say, oh yeah, if you're a player, come on in. Come on in
Yeah.
DMs.
Less than
I guess I gotta step up my game. I was only at 49. Somebody really did hit 50. Jeez.
No.
Hey, and if you're a real player, man, you take two girls out at the same time.
Right. And I think that's the other thing too. Like, I don't think girls really find players like super sexy.
Oh,
You know,
no, trust me. Well, the thing is, LDS community, like in the LDS community, we're not players. Come on, we're not out there hustling in the clubs.
There's some players.
Okay, well, they shouldn't be because I think women aren't going, yeah, I'll go home with you and then, you know, move on to the next guy. And, you know, and I mean, you're in the wrong group if you're trying to be a player in the LDS 35 and what. Like,
Right.
there are a lot of groups you go out and be a player in. Just, you know, I don't know, just my opinion.
It's kind of fun though, as being a fly on the wall, because I hear about all that stuff.
Oh, I bet you do. I bet you do.
And then I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh dear.
So
Yeah,
I was
it's-
thinking, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Celeste.
No, I was just, because I keep thinking like, what is it that I would, that attracts me? But I think another thing, maybe I've already said this, but if you do start talking with someone, if you can find a common interest that you have, like that's always good because you can talk about the same topic. Like if you both like to hike, it seems like every male known to man out there likes to hike and fish, and that's what their little mutual app says. But if there is something you like Teri loves to run, obviously, so maybe you guys can talk about marathons or whatever. Like if you know the person, you've watched them maybe on the groups make comments, and you notice that you have something in common with them, that's a good way to start out a conversation and get out of purgatory. So
I just want to make this perfectly clear. I don't love to run. I love to fit into my jeans and I love to eat. So that's why I run.
The perfect combo so you can fit into your jeans, huh?
Right.
Yeah, that's why I work out too. I work out so I can eat. Like people are like, well, why are you working out so much? I'm like, because I eat so much.
Yes.
I mean, it's not because I'm trying to be vain and I'm like, I want to take pictures, with my shirt off and then send them to DM them to girls when I'm trying to introduce myself.
Sorry, you have to be fit for your job.
Well, I got to be fit for my job too, but yeah, I do like to eat, I just don't like having to buy suits, more suits that, have to be larger.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
So I know guys get really nervous about, we're talking about like body types and things like that, right? And we always hear girls are less interested in looks than guys. Although I would argue that girls are definitely interested in looks too. So if anybody tells you they aren't, that's a lie, survey says. So, but a guy coming in, like Teri, you said you want an intelligent guy, someone who can have like these solid conversations with you, right? That's just like, wow, this guy is deep. I can talk with him. If somebody came in like that, and let's just say, they were not attractive to you, whatever that might look like, right? Is that still somebody that you would be willing to get to know?
Yes, because looks fade. It's a superficial thing. My ex-husband was 400 pounds at his heaviest. And granted, he was as deep as the Yakima River.
Did I know him, by the way? Was it somebody that I knew? I didn't know you when you were married. I just knew you for before.
No, so he grew up in Joseph, Oregon. So no, I don't think you would.
People are actually from Joseph, Oregon. Okay. Wow.
I know this was a lot, right?
Yeah.
But he just, I think the biggest thing for me when my ex-husband had gained all that weight, I never saw it. I saw him for who he was, but granted, he didn't really have a lot of depth, emotionally or intellectually. So it was very, very hard to have a very deep conversation with him. Sorry, I'm getting over being sick, so.
That's okay. Bad case of the Rona?
No, I have emotions. Go figure. Yeah, so. But, so that being said, I had kind of a wake-up call in my marriage when I was just like, I settled and I married him for all the wrong reasons. So, but for me, physical appearance, I run for me. I don't want to run with somebody, it's not, for me, that's kind of my alone time. That's my unwind time. And I like to eat. So there's that.
How many miles a day for this buffet?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all about calories in, calories out.
That's right.
Right.
Like a bank account.
Yeah. So I just, it's kind of just one of those things where, as long as the person can keep me intellectually and, keep my mind going, there's just a natural attraction there.
So, I'm thinking of this for the guys that may be listening to this or may listen to it later. If you're concerned that gosh, what if she doesn't find me attractive or whatever? I would say, give it a shot, right? The worst that can happen is either they don't respond or they're just like not interested. But I think most girls are at least kind about it, right? Like they're not going to be like, dude, I don't know why you contacted me because you are super ugly. Like they're not going to say that.
No.
They're just going to probably, if they're completely not interested, or maybe if their inbox is being blown up, they just won't read some of them, right? But at the same time, guys need to just understand that it's not always like I've got to come across cocky. I've got to look like, Tom Selleck with his shirt off or something. I don't know. Is that sexy? I just threw that out there. Maybe that shows my age. Tom Selleck's kind of old school, right?
Yeah,
But
like my mom.
yeah.
Like my mom. Come
My
on,
mom might have
Celeste.
liked Tom Selleck. I was 6. Just kidding.
So
maybe-
hairy chests are out still. I mean, that's been like 30 years, right?
Maybe we should like get Justin Timberlake, right? We'll bring sexy back. So,
right.
But the guys don't have to be like all of these things in their mind. They think they have to be. Like, I don't think girls typically look at it like, gosh, I want a fitness model guy. Guys, in our mind, we might think like, I'd love to have a bikini model. Guys kind of are more visual that way, even though, that's unrealistic. But guys need to understand, if you can present yourself well, if you can go out there, at the very least, you might find somebody who's just like super attracted to you because of you, not because of something you're pretending to be.
But I would assume that it goes the other way as well. I know for like me, right? So, I would be worried about my size. Like, am I too fat? Am I too, all this stuff goes through my head just as much as anybody else. But, the whole thing is just understanding that, okay, this is who I am and this is my package, and you either like me or you don't. But I think that for guys thinking that they have to be this, fit, outdoorsy kind of person, but they're not, there's a lot of girls that feel the exact same way,
Right.
So, and there's common ground, and,
Well, can I play the bad guy here for a minute and just say that, I mean, if we're all single, like, could we just try to put on like be the best that we can? Like if you're just recently divorced, I mean, I know there's a lot that goes on, especially in the groups. They're like, well, my father made me this way, or, or you're going to have to just like, take me for who I am.
Yeah.
But I think that if you're going to meet somebody, I think there always is an attraction. Like there has to be always an initial attraction, right? And like you said later on, Teri, in life, if you gain weight later on, or you get older and we're all going to age and we're all going to lose our looks, you kind of go down the road, but you've already kind of made that emotional bond. But you don't know the person from Jack. So when you're going through the Facebook pictures and you're like, well, I'm not, that person doesn't really like to do stuff, or.
Yeah, and there is that. I mean, you do have to have a physical attraction. I mean, I'm not saying that is not going to play a role into it, but I mean, there are just certain things like, I mean, there has to be a level of physical attraction as well. And like you said,
to start off, to at least get the connection, get somebody to say, I want to DM that person, right? I mean, obviously, if, I just think that people need to take that seriously. I think in the church, there's always that, well, my testimony should be what you're interested in, or, or my priesthood calling, or, my Relief Society, oh, you're the Relief Society presidency. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Like, you're the one for me. I just think we need to put on our best effort. I think all of us. And then, you know what, if you get married and you guys agree that, hey, let's just eat ourselves and, and get big and who cares? That's fine too. But
yeah, I agree with Corey. I think you need to present your best self. Just because when you're trying to make that first impression, you want to give your best. It doesn't mean that, like Corey is saying, as time goes on, things might change. But in that moment, there's, the people that are receiving messages or whatever, they have a very short amount of time to decide, is this someone I'm going to be interested in interacting with? or not. So make sure your profile picture is a really good picture of you, not really far distant, not with other people in it. Like a good picture of you on your
Not
best
someone else.
day. Or or not someone else entirely. That wouldn't work
Yeah.
Well,
either.
also, I think also what's very deceiving too, which can be very could play into the, hey, I reached out to this girl, we started chatting, and then she ghosted me, like she stopped talking to me. Well, maybe it's because all of your pictures on Facebook were just of your head. And
Yeah.
then when she met you, below was like 500 pounds. And you're like, dude, come on. If you're 500 pounds, put your entire body on display on Facebook so people can at least see
they
what
can-
they're
right.
I have to
getting.
say something, Corey. I have to say something about this. Okay, so,
Sorry, I'm playing the bad guy tonight. So
no.
Bad
I
guy.
actually do have a story about this. It wasn't a person I was interested in, but it was a friend that we ended up meeting up, and it was a group. We were at this location, just traveled, whatever. And I had met him for the first time. Okay, and he always did like this up angled, like the angle ones are the ones
Mhm.
the worst, right? I met him for the first time and I could not keep the look off of my face. Like I was like, what did you swallow that you ballooned? Like, I've never seen a man that had like a pear shape before, but it was so shocking. And I just, yeah. I mean, so guys do it too.
Yeah, be authentic.
no, they do. They do.
Don't
I
be
mean,
hiding it.
you've got to have many pictures on your Facebook page.
Yes.
And I've seen profiles where I would say out of the 50 pictures on this woman's website, on her Facebook page, none were below the neck, none were below. And you're like, but beautiful face, right? Thin face, beautiful face. But you're like, what are you hiding? Like, is this going to be a surprise on a date? You know, I would say about 5 years ago, I went on a date and that happened to me. Like I fell into that. I was like, oh, beautiful face, nice conversation on the phone. Let's go to dinner. And then I met her at the restaurant and she walked in and she had to like walk sideways between the tables to get through. And I was like, what the heck? What just happened here?
Just be authentic, because maybe some guys don't have an
Yeah.
issue with that, but you need to make sure it's in there so people can see, so that's not like some shock or whatever. Like, and in anything, like maybe you're missing a leg, or I don't know, maybe you're actually like 4'2", but you don't ever, if you don't have any pictures on there that show you for you, it can be a shock. And it's just best to put your best self out there. Make sure that you
And
are
it's genuine,
totally,
because there are guys who aren't going to matter. It's not going to matter to them. And they're
yeah.
like, oh, I like her. And you know what? I don't
Yeah.
care if she has a little weight on.
Exactly.
And
What
you
I wanna
were,
know is
now
which
you
one-
got a guy who's not going to ghost you because you were authentic.
Yeah.
And that guy made a decision on the whole package.
Yeah.
And honest, here's the other thing too, is don't crop the pictures. Don't crop the pictures to make it look like you are a completely different size than what you are. Right.
Be authentic. Yep.
For me, it's like, I don't care. I mean, Celeste, you're talking about the legging picture. I literally just
what picture?
I was like, you know what? I don't even care. This is like my worst picture ever, and I don't care. But I was being genuine, you know. And
Yeah, this is what I look like in the morning, guys. So if you want a long-term relationship that ends in marriage, this is what you're gonna get.
I'm sorry,
Right.
but when they post those "this is me in the morning" posts on these Facebook pages, like I cringe. I think, why are you
cringe.
doing that? Don't do that. You need to have a foundation and a relationship and stuff before you're like, this is me in the morning, and their hair's everywhere and makeup smeared on their face. And I'm like, oh,
Well,
why
good
are you
camping shot
posting
too.
that?
Like, this is what I like camping. Like, there's no makeup, no bathroom. I've got, I got a little bit of dirt on my face, and click, camping time, right?
Right.
Yeah, but guys can get away with that. Us girls, I don't know.
I will say though, honestly, with that is there's the difference between, posting pictures all the time of being like done up and everything else. And then like me, I just post one occasionally where I'm like,
yeah. Yep.
But it's also because I'm comfortable with myself and I'm okay with who I am. So it's not like I do it all the time.
And it doesn't hurt that you're like really beautiful. So you probably look beautiful even in your I don't have any makeup on pictures. You're like, look at me. I still look good.
I personally, I don't like morning pictures. I got to get up and get ready. So, get that picture.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because this goes to the heart of the issue of people who they keep trying to be something that they're not. I'm going to send you a picture from a certain angle or something. Guys, that's always going to get exposed. You don't want to get to somebody. And I think people get this idea of like, well, I'm going to get them into a relationship and then I'll drop the bomb on them like in real life of like, okay, I'm really 400 pounds or something.
Right.
Guys, just be 400 pounds. And if she likes you, cool. If she doesn't, she's not the right one for you. But you're not going to trick them into liking you.
No,
Yeah,
and
they're not gonna.
I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit, Everett. So I actually got in a discussion with a group of friends, and we were talking about that. And one of the experiences that had come out was he was like, yeah, we had been talking for a couple of months, and she kept blowing me off, saying like, she was just too busy, couldn't get together, couldn't do this, couldn't do that. And then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, I'll meet up with you. And they met at this restaurant, and he sat down at a table and was like, well, she said she was here, but where is she? And she texted him and said, I'm sitting over wherever it was. And he was almost afraid to look because he already knew it was going to happen.
Oh,
And
no.
he looked and he's like, this is not the person that she portrayed at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, he said he got up and he left the restaurant because she did not portray herself honestly from the get-go. And he's like, well, what else would she lie to me about? And
Right.
she sat with him because he left. And so he asked her later, he's like, so you thought this entire time lying to me was going to be able to get me to like you? And she's like, well, no, I didn't want to be honest with who I was because then you wouldn't go out with me. And he's like, well, then you are passing judgment on me and you're telling me what I'm going to like.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that I think also the age, like people use old pictures. I've seen some Facebook pictures where the person obviously took that picture, back in 2008, and now it's 2020.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, you look nothing like you did in that Facebook picture of yours.
I think you just described my Facebook page. So I literally haven't updated. Actually, I used to have a lot of different pictures on there, but after I went through my divorce, I took
Shame, Everett, shame.
I know.
He's a
I know.
catfish.
Hey guys, just to let you know, I'm not really in high school anymore. So in case you were fooled,
high school picture.
I should get my high school picture when I have a full head of hair and then show up to a date and be like, bang, hello.
Corey had like a fro or something like that. You're like, he was super curly.
Oh no, I had some long. I had business.
Didn't you have a mullet? I think you shared.
Oh no, I had a business in the front and a party in the back.
Yeah.
It was it was pretty.
Corey
good.
was sporting the Tennessee top hat. He loves it. He knows all about that. So yeah, but here's the thing, I understand some people have their Facebook pages locked down. I have my Facebook page locked down for good reason, and Celeste can attest to that good reason because it gets kind of crazy from the ex, right? So I keep that locked down. I have an old picture up because all my other pictures used to be of me and my ex, and it's like, hey, here we are, this happy couple. Once that was out the window, I'm like, delete it all. I don't freaking care. I never post on Facebook. I don't do anything on Facebook. So I get that, right? I get that there are some people who are just like, this is not necessarily who I am, right? Like you can look at my Facebook, but I don't really do a lot of Facebook. Fine, that's cool. But at least when you're talking to somebody or you're having these conversations, be who you are, right? Okay. If I was trying to hide who I was, I wouldn't be on a podcast, that's for sure.
Right. Or at least show them a picture, a current picture, and just say, this picture was taken a week ago, or hey, let me show you a picture. Let me just take a picture for you or something. But as long as you're authentic and you're real about it, then there shouldn't be any questions.
Well, that's why I think if you should then move, going with Celeste's proper plan, is that if you do move to the DM, then would you then, Celeste, would you recommend, I would say Teri and Celeste, would you then recommend that the guy have a video chat with you? Then you're really getting the live video feed, right?
I think the video chats are a little down the road a piece for me personally.
Okay. So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know these steps.
That's kind of an even after we're friends on Facebook. Like it's when you're doing online video chat is kind of like, okay, I do like this person, so let's see what's up on the other side of the screen.
Corey's now realizing why all his video chats keep getting denied. He's like, oh, not a good idea. Okay.
I don't think they're
hold on. Let me make a note here. Don't friend request and then demand a video.
Yes. So for me, I need to have a little bit more like substance. Like, give me a little bit, like, give me a carrot, dangle that carrot a little bit, get a conversation going. And then later on, video chat, because I need to decide whether I'm going to have a connection with this person. Even if it's online, I recognize you can have a connection with somebody online and not necessarily have a connection with them in a physical sense. So like when you get face to face with them, then all of a sudden you're like, a video chat, it's kind of the next step for me. It's just that, okay, well, let's just see, who you are and then go from there. And then let's put facial features with it, or facial expressions or mannerisms, or with the conversation.
Right. Teri, don't you kind of feel like, and I don't know, I mean, it's not across the board with this, but don't you kind of feel like, at least for me, like the video chat it's not like a date, but it kind of feels like a date online-ish. Like, it's like, okay, we've talked, we've chatted, we've got to know each other. We're not really going on a date because we're like totally in different places or whatever, but maybe this is like the precursor to dating. Like it is a step of sorts. It's kind of like, let's see where this goes.
For me, it's just kind of like that next step in getting to know somebody, because you can see what they're typing, right? You can't necessarily hear how they present it, and you can't really hear a voice. You can't put a voice with those words because it's your own feelings, your own emotions, and so it adds a different level to it. So for me, it's just kind of like the next step. Not necessarily, for me, it doesn't necessarily feel like a date, but it just feels like a next step,
So there's a lot of people chatting about this in the chat about some people like the message. They like the whole progression to a video. Some people like to just phone call, then video. Some say after a few messages, then video call, like not even an intermittent like voice call first, but I think it all depends on generational stuff too. I mean, my age, I'm still used to, I think I've had better success like meeting people in person. Anybody that I've met in person, I've always said, hey, do you mind if I get your phone number and give you a call sometime? Like that's always in the past, that's always been good for me and I think just because it's generational, right? I didn't grow up with the technology. Like you had to go and meet somebody in person. You had to ask somebody for a phone number. And I think nowadays it's just so easy now with technology to, just to kind of get out there and, DM a bunch of women.
Yeah.
I feel like it's something that people can like overuse, even if they accept a video chat. It's like guys at that point sometimes just seem to think, I'm going to video chat her all the time then. Like just randomly throughout the day, over and over again. You're like, okay, stop. Like you're overbearing now. Yeah. So it's still something that needs to be kind of respectfully done, right? Yes. Like, okay, we've chatted for a while. I feel comfortable enough to show you that I really am who I say I am, right? Yeah. And the girl would say the same thing, but that's not an open invitation to like video chat me anytime you feel like it.
No, and so just kind of along that lines, I had one where I had gone through some stuff in January, and I kept getting these messages, and it was like, hey, I need to talk to you. Hey, I need to talk to you. And I was like, I'm at work. Like if I say I'm at work, that means knock it off, Yeah. And then all of a sudden video messaging started happening, and I was just like, are you kidding me? And it got to the point where I just wanted to like literally bang my head up against the wall because it just was not stop. And it wasn't welcomed. And right from there, just my opinion changed very quickly.
Yeah, and I think that's what I kind of was leaning towards with the whole date thing. It's like it seemed like you should set a time. Hey, let's video chat this day at
Yeah.
this time.
Or is
And it
this
kind of
okay?
is like it's not like a date, but it's a set time, not just randomly calling up a girl. Because guess what, guys, we can't roll out of bed and be ready
Yeah.
for a video chat where y'all can just like, you know, like it takes some getting going. Like we got to do some things first.
Yeah.
So
My hair in the morning is straight up, just saying.
you don't want to see me looking like that, I promise you. So
And we're not going to answer. We're going
no,
to
we won't answer
No.
at all.
Well, then it goes back to the guys. Then the guys will feel bad, right? So then the guys are like, see, I try to reach out to these women and they just totally ignore my calls. And then
Right.
you're
Schedule.
getting into that circular logic, circular.
But just check ahead, ask, hey, is this a good time for a video
Right.
chat or video call? Or hey,
I think Celeste is right. I think you need to schedule it. I think you
I
message
think
somebody
that's-
and say, when is a good time to chat?
Yeah,
Video
I think
chat,
that's a good way to go because then she's prepared. I mean, once you get, I mean, if it's down the road a piece and you guys video chat all the time, and well, then that's different. But at first, I would definitely recommend being like, okay, hey, are you available 6 o'clock on Friday or whatever, to video chat and kind of deal with it like as if it's a date. It's obviously not a date, but it kind of has that kind of feel where it's structured. Okay, we'll meet up at this time. We'll chit chat. We'll see where this goes. We'll get to know each other better. Yeah, don't randomly video chat or that's not going to go over well. Nope.
or especially like for me, being in Washington, there's a time difference, and
Yeah.
can't do that at 6 o'clock in the morning, please.
Yeah. Consider the time difference. That's a big one.
Right.
What gets me is these guys who go through and they send you a video chat request, gets denied. And so what do? Like a minute or two later, they keep blowing it up. So it's not just like a one-off thing like that you experienced, Teri. This is something that seems to be like a continual sort of thing. So if you're looking to approach a girl and you want to be respectful from the beginning, continue that respect. Don't just be like, well, I was respectful at the beginning. Now I'm going to be heavy-handed and totally overburden you with my like desire to talk to you all the time.
Well, so someone brought up Marco Polo, and that is a really good thing too, because the person can answer it when they're available. And still kind of a video chat, and you can kind of still get the same, feel for it. It's just basically like a quick video text message. Which most people know what Marco Polo is, but it's just a great way to like, there's a time difference or, it's just a different schedule. It's just a great way to stay in touch, and it's also a little bit more personal than a text message. Because,
Yeah, but you got to be comfortable with getting on that camera and going, hello, how's it going? And then click, you're like, oh my gosh, I look like an idiot.
Half the people just do it while they're driving.
I was going to say, I don't like Marco Polo. That is not my cup of tea. So
I've seen how they do. I've seen it. And I'm like, I don't know how I can get on there and be like, and how am I going to get those special filters and, cover up my fat belly and.
I'm on Marco Polo, and honestly, I don't know. Maybe I just have a different view of it. Like, I don't care how I look. There's been times if people are like in my Marco Polo groups, like I started this like last year when I was in them. I have so much fun with it. Like it gives me a chance to have my humor just come out. There was one time, I can't remember what it was. I blocked out my 2 front teeth.
Oh, awesome.
I was like Marco Poloing. And I don't know how I kept a straight face because I was like, I look absolutely ridiculous right now.
That's awesome.
Within my group, but that
would have been funny. That would have been funny, yeah. Especially if you acted like it was normal, like.
Yeah,
I did
today.
Yeah, well, and it's funny too. Sometimes I use like these different voices. Like my daughter and I do these impersonations of things, and if you're in my Marco Polo groups or you Marco Polo me before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And we have so much fun with it. And sometimes I'll like do that in the Marco Polo groups, and it's just it's hilarious.
Yeah. So are you up for taking some questions from the crowd? I'm sure some people, especially some guys, might have some questions about, for all of us. I mean, but particularly for Teri, if Teri has some good advice. And So if you guys have, if you guys are interested in, if you guys are interested, raise your hand. You can do it on your Windows device. If you have Alt, if you hit Alt and yes, or Alt and Y, and you can just toggle that as you see my hand go up, And then if you're on a Macintosh, then you can use Option Y. And if you're on a Linux machine, well, I just don't know how to help you on that.
Linux? Is that a thing?
Okay, we're totally dating ourselves with that one.
No,
You have a Chromebook, it's running on Linux. So
Oh,
the whole World Wide Web runs on Linux. A bunch of nerds use Linux like me. Yeah, I've got a few Linux machines.
Well, while we're kind of waiting for people to come in, I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about guys being, I mean, we've maybe gotten a little harsh on some of the guys, but just guys coming in, being respectful, pose a decent question. But honestly, it all starts with, are you ready for this, right? Are you comfortable enough in your own skin to handle rejection? If the answer is no, don't even bother, right? Don't go out there and say, all right, well, gosh, I'm so desperate right now because I'm trying to fill this void from my past relationship that didn't work out, that I'm going to approach somebody, and I'm maybe going to approach lots of people. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going to get frustrated. That's definitely not going to work out.
We got a question from Michael here.
Come on,
so we'll
Michael.
start. Yeah, we'll unmute you and jump on here.
Hey. I just want to say I was glad to see your. I'm going to switch my monitors. Okay, good to see you on here. So one of my questions, we talked about this a little bit, was kind of about boldness. I can be a pretty bold person, and actually the best relationships I've had, the most meaningful relationships I've had, have actually happened or started their course because of me basically being a pretty bold person. But I know that sometimes I look like a jerk, and I mean, and in fairness, sometimes I am a jerk, and so I try not to be. But so I know that there's a balancing act, and I know sometimes I have succeeded, and I know that sometimes I have failed doing that. Do you offer any suggestions on that
note? Learn to read people and learn to read those social cues. If you feel like you're being too aggressive, is what I would take that as, then just soften it a little bit and soften your approach. It's all about just learning about that person, and everybody has different reactions to things, and if you're reading them, you should be able to pick up on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Teri.
Yeah. What about you, Celeste? What's your take on it? Like the two girls from the panel.
First of all, I don't think that Michael's a jerk at all. So if that's the term you used against
I'm just trying to be diplomatic.
I don't think that you come across that way. I think that you are bold, but I think it's in a good way. But if someone, like Teri said, if someone might feel, like you're coming on too bold, you're just gonna have to kind of read that from them. Like, are they replying quickly back to your texts? If you are talking to them on the phone, are you dominating the conversation? Maybe, because sometimes people who are bold, like they just like to talk. So maybe reel that back in. But yeah, just try to figure out what works for the other individual. And if you ask them a lot of questions, and they can answer, then that gives them the chance to be bold back. And so just kind of balance it, I would assume. But I definitely know you're not a jerk. So let's not say that.
Thanks, Mike.
Wait, Everett, was that your courtesy laugh? Or was that you, Corey? I heard one of you guys doing the courtesy laugh. Yeah, you're like after last week, like.
I gave you a golf clap.
It's good to have. Thank you. It's good to see you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, no problem. All right, who was up, Lee or Clark?
I think it was Lee, but I'm not sure.
All right, we'll go with Lee. Go ahead and jump up there.
just unmute.
Yep, he's unmuting and there he goes.
There he is. Okay. Hi, Lee. Can we hear you?
What's your question, Lee?
Are you
Hey,
there,
Travis.
Lee?
Can you hear us?
Hey, can you hear us?
I don't think he can hear us.
All right, we're gonna do a countdown here.
Lee.
5,
Can he not hear us?
4.
Yeah,
Got us, Lee?
we're trying to talk to you, Lee. I'm gonna put him a little message in here.
3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll circle back around to Lee. So,
You can't hear
okay.
us, Lee? Or
Yeah, I don't think he can.
Who
hear
is
us.
next?
we'll go to Clark.
Yep, Clark was next.
Where's Clark? Oh, there he is.
Right next. Well,
Come on.
come on up, Clark.
Yeah. Okay, am I up?
Yep,
You're up.
All righty. First, a comment as to doing the friends invite there. A lot of people don't know how to use Facebook, so it's a backup plan. You've sent the DM and then you end up sending the friends invite, hoping they'll accept so they can actually get a message that they can see instead of the one that's hidden in the other box. There is one of the reasons for choosing to do that.
So Facebook has also changed that as well. So now it will come through as somebody you may know. So it doesn't get lost in the other folder unless it's potential spam. Just
Is
saying.
that why they sometimes pop up in your normal feed? And oh, I didn't know what was going on with that.
Yeah, I get that all the time within the group.
Okay,
So,
that's cool.
yeah, they've recently
I still
just
get
changed
messages in purgatory.
I do too. But
Yeah.
I was wondering how the other ones were popping up. I'm like, why are they not going to my other folders? So
It's just a recent thing. So if those messages were sent like a couple months ago, that definitely be in that other folder. But
if they perceive that you might know them either by acquaintances or groups, they would let it go there and just say someone you might know. Okay, that's interesting. Cool.
There. And then the other question is, you were talking about how the approach is made there. When does it cross the line from proper to improper? For example, if I were picking on Celeste, for example, the thing that she has hit in the last 3, which is all I've seen of the stuff, there was the fact of wanting quiet.
Yeah.
There. So that would probably be what I opened with as the match there to be the discussion. But other than that, and the people that I've seen the videos on, there really hasn't been something that stood out as a match there that I would have gone for.
So you're saying that I like things quiet. So you're saying that would be something that you could bring up if you were approaching me. You found something that we
If
both
I
have in
was
common.
approaching you.
Yeah, that's an important thing to do, is to find something in common, even if it's not on one of these podcasts, if it's a post on Facebook, if it's in the comments on one of the groups, if you see something that they're interested in, that you're interested in, absolutely. That's a great venue, like just a good way to get into their DMs and discuss something that you guys are both interested in. Yeah, it's a good way to go.
Yeah, Clark. Yeah, just when you're reading through the feeds and you're looking at stuff and somebody posts something very funny or interesting or a meme or something, yeah, that's your kind of your cue to talk about the topic. You can say, wow, I think the same thing, or that was an interesting meme and that made me think about X, Y, and Z. And it gives you a chance to kind of talk in the feed, within the feed, just say,
Yeah.
Hey, Celeste, that was a really interesting thought. And I thought about this. And then that person like Celeste could then respond to your message and you get this little bitty conversation happening within the thread. And then maybe if things seem like they're friendly, then you'd move to maybe a direct message.
Yeah.
All
Does
right.
that help?
Is that everything? Oh,
I guess that's it.
Well, thanks, Clark.
Clark.
Thanks, Clark.
Are there any guys who kind of are in this spot where maybe there's a girl that they're like, okay, I've seen her a couple times. I'd really like to approach her, but I don't know how. You don't have to say any names. You don't have to say anything that you wouldn't want to like expose. But if you've got anything where you're just like, I really want to approach somebody and I'm not sure what to say, let us know. Because maybe with Celeste and Teri and their expertise here, being girls, they can help kind of get that ball rolling. So we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we can only go for our personal opinions, but we're willing to share.
Yeah, no guarantee it's going to lead to marriage, but they might be able to do that a little bit.
So don't come get mad at us if it goes down the wrong road.
Right.
All right. So we have Mark,
Mark.
aka Lee.
Yeah. Mark and Lee.
I was borrowing a friend's login information for a trading event. So
Oh, no wonder I'm like, hello, Lee, we can see
and
you.
I'm sitting here going,
Lee, can you hear us? And Lee's like, that's not me.
oh, that's me. So, we talked about having, realistic or updated photos, but at the same time, we want to show activities and things that we've done before, so any special balance between that, because, I know that, when I went to the Daytona 500 in 2006, it's obviously not 2021. And, I may be a great fighter, but Father Time is winning at this point. So
Yeah, as long as you're keeping up with like posting current things, maybe doing those Sunday selfies are good. Maybe putting something on your Facebook, like just going for a walk in the park and just being like, man, this is a really beautiful park, and take a selfie or get somebody to take a picture of you in the park and post that, because those dates on Facebook, they'll have a date underneath that picture was taken or posted on a certain date. And that will help
absolutely. Leave your old stuff in there, the stuff you like to do and what you've done. That's great because people can see what you've done. Just ensure that your Facebook picture, like your profile picture, is current.
Is not that NASCAR.
Yeah, you don't want your NASCAR picture as your as your profile pic, because then that would be a little deceiving.
Better take my NASCAR pic down.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. Leave all that stuff on there.
Everyone's got to take his high school senior picture off his Facebook page.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead, Teri.
I'll just say this too.
Or maybe not.
Sorry, go ahead, Teri. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just gonna add to this too. Like, as you're talking to somebody, right? You wanna have your current pictures, but then you kind of want to show your adventures, like what you've done. Like, you don't want to just be like, well, okay, COVID, I just sat on the couch all year. I didn't really do anything. I ate a lot of peanuts or whatever. You want to show things that you've done in the past as well. So as long as the person knows that, and you're like, well, I did this, in whatever year, or, it just shows that you're open to adventures and open to different things.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents.
It's a good thing. As long as it's not your profile pic, we're good.
Yeah.
I'll just say this though. Facebook posts and Facebook pictures aren't the end all be all. If you're willing to like put yourself out there in other ways, you don't have to necessarily have like the strongest Facebook profile. What people want to know is this really what you look like? Is this really you? If you're willing to, what's that?
Everett, you do not need to defend your Facebook profile and your high school picture.
I feel like I do. I feel like my NASCAR picture just needs to come down,
I think we triggered Everett.
I'm so triggered right now.
Yeah, Everett's like, but this is the best I'm ever gonna look. Why can't I keep those pictures?
Right? It's all downhill from there. No, but I think the whole point is, if you're trying to present yourself to somebody, they want to know who you really are, what you really look like, right?
Yeah.
They want to know what you're really about. Everybody, that's why, to me, Facebook, all right, I'll go on, I might look at somebody's pictures and like, okay, cool. But I also know Facebook is fake book, right? People aren't going to post this picture of like, hey, look at me when I was like totally frumpy and looked gross and decided to just roll out of bed and, basically look like I'm terrible or something. People are going to post what they want to see. Now, there are some.
Some of them do.
But for the most part, I think that people just want to know the genuine you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to have a ton on Facebook. I don't care. But if you want to see what I look like, come watch my podcast, whatever. I don't care. Even though, you know, it doesn't really matter at
I
this
do
point.
say
So,
that if Facebook's going to be your medium, if you're going to go to these different LDS groups, it's going to be your medium. Try to get out there and post some like current stuff, some current action stuff. If you're out doing some activity, take a picture of you doing the activity.
Post it
You're
on
working
there.
out, take a picture of you working out with some friends or whatever it is. You know, if you're eating pie on the couch watching Star Wars, take a picture of that. I mean,
You know,
And
okay.
I will say too, for like just a little, I don't know, for me, stay away from the bathroom selfies. Just
For real.
in front of the mirrors,
take into
don't do the mirrors.
consideration what is around you. Okay.
Yes.
Sure. And your house is trashed. I guarantee you, we're checking that out.
Yeah.
my favorite is
Into
when
the
it's like
background of the
clearly
photos.
Yeah.
And you know what? For everybody out there, girls and guys, I know it can be really it can be difficult, and it can kind of really, am I brave enough to do this? But if you're willing to actually post on one of these sites, actually make a post of yourself or whatever, you'll get a lot of interaction from that. It does take a lot of guts to throw stuff up there, but I promise you it would be worth your while to do it, because people start getting to know you and they start, oh, this person has been posting a couple times. I'm getting to know them better. And so that's a good way to get to know people as well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
my
thank you,
favorite are the
Mark.
ones that are clearly photoshopped, where they're like all tan, but then they've got this white face. Like, I don't think that's really you.
Yeah.
We like
With a
that.
different body.
Right.
But yeah,
Look
well,
at my
just like-
six pack. Like, now you got a keg, dude. Let's face it.
Right.
You know.
just
Right.
like what Corey was saying, like if you're in the park and you're taking a picture, post it on 35 and Wiser. Say, hey, I'm out of the park. I'm having a good time. What are y'all doing? What are we all up to? And then people will start posting pictures of what they're doing. And it's
they'll start
great
chatting with
way.
you. They'll comment on you. You can comment
Yeah.
right back and reply to them directly.
And
Yep.
sometimes some of the posts that I do are interactive. Like I'm trying to get people to show me what they're doing because I want people to put themselves out there. It's
Right.
not, I would rather not even post a picture of me if I could just avoid it. But it's about trying to get people to be interactive and they get to know you and they develop like this online relationship with you. And then you kind of find yourselves bantering back and forth with people. And, you know, some
And
people
banter is good. Fun
banter
banter.
with people and I'm like, I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
Fun. All right. Thank you, Mark. Too many names. Thanks,
Lee.
Mark, for your comment and questions. Is there anyone
Mark, the man formerly known as Lee.
else? Yeah.
Well, I will just say, you know, to reiterate for the umpteenth million time on here, it really boils down to don't be fake. Because what's going to happen is if you're trying to post something out there that's sort of fakey, you're going to eventually be exposed. Whether it's you go out on a date and they see who you really are, be confident in yourself and post that. And if they're not interested, they're not the right person.
Right.
Be confident in who you are and love yourself, and then everything will go out from there. So the hardest part is when I see people that I'm like, yeah, that guy's kind of fakey, right? And then they go and get into a marriage and you're like, yeah, this isn't going to end too well, because that honeymoon phase, right? You're still putting your best foot forward. You're still like presenting like, look how perfect I am. And the reason I was divorced is because they're so terrible, not me. When in reality is we all have warts. We all have something that, you know, is not quite 100% there. I don't know anybody that's gone through the beatification process and come out on the other side just sparkly clean and like, hey, I am like completely like, you know, sin-free and everything. Doesn't happen.
Right.
So we've all got something. Just be genuine, be you, be confident, and then those things will fall into place. If you're not, if you're trying to hide it, good luck. And especially if you're able to hide it into another relationship, you're going to have some serious problems when your true self comes out.
Yep.
Anyways, Jared, Beard, what's up,
Jared?
man?
Well, mine's more of a, not a question, more of a statement. I
Cool.
get a lot of people say because of my beard, I have no chin. So I have to post some of my older pictures where I don't have a beard. I've had a beard for, you know, almost a year and a half now. So I'll post pictures of me, unlike, like Everett, he got his senior high school picture or whatever that is for it. But, same for me. That's the last time I've actually, I got a chin underneath here.
You have a chin? That's good to know.
But like a lot of people think a beard is like a filter, like when women use makeup or filters, they're trying to hide stuff, but no, I got a beard. I mean, I got a chin. So some of my pictures are over a year old, but that's just so that I do have a chin underneath this. So,
and I think that's good. I think it's good to show
and I'm not attached to this. This is just something that I've been growing for a while, and why not?
COVID beard.
Yeah, this is 9 months. I've trimmed it 3 times. So
the thing is though, that guys do that though. They'll have facial hair and then they won't, and they'll have facial hair then they won't. For me, it's
I shave every spring. This one, usually I shave it off during the spring, and then I'll start growing it about 2-3 months later, all the way through winter. So I mean, this one happened to be the longest because I'm in California. Barber shops are closed down, so I use a barber because I like to get I don't trust myself with the straight edge. I've cut myself way too many times. So
I was going to say, it doesn't matter. You're a 49er fan. That's all that matters.
Hey, yeah,
as long
like
as you're
that.
49ers, you're good.
49ers rock. That's my team.
I had to show my new hat since Everett liked to show off his Broncos.
Bring your love, man. You got to bring it.
It's my 2 loves: San Francisco, California. There,
I'm sorry for one of them, but
Well, California or San Francisco, I'm not sure.
I used to live there. I get
Well, thank you for your comment, and I think it's good. I think it's good for you to show all sides, especially if you do have facial hair. It's good to put some on there.
Oh, it's also good. You gotta let the ladies know that if you get with me, I might be growing this beard one time.
That's true. Yeah.
I think the whole idea is just be who you are, right? Let them see who you really are. If it's not on Facebook or whatever, who cares? One way or the other, they just need to see who you are. And if you're hiding and posting old stuff and then just solely writing off of that, that's a problem. But if you're willing to, whether it's Instagram or Twitter, or who freaking cares? You're just swapping like pictures back and forth or doing video chats. At least you're out there.
Yep.
So that's what's important.
2 main points: be authentic and actually get to know the other person. Try to get to know them. Don't just focus on things that don't matter. So.
And then I actually do have one question real quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you guys are talking about, so say you do have a match with a female on like one of the mutuals or one of them. Do you women want us to say, I mean, I hear some people say they want us to say more. I'll say hi to get the conversation started because that's what I would do in person. Am I supposed to have like a full on conversation before they even, I mean, you want more than just hi first? I mean,
yeah, I don't answer the highs.
I don't either.
So we're supposed to.
Go ahead, Teri.
I mean, I'm just saying we match.
Well, Jared, hold on. Teri's answering you.
Terry,
oh, I'm sorry. I can't hear him.
He just has a quieter microphone, so we have to pause so we can talk.
So
Sorry.
the thing is that if you were to look at the person's profile and figure out things that are going to spark a conversation, that's going to be your better bet than just saying hi. Because it's so generic that I'm just going to be like, okay, what am I supposed to say back?
Yeah, hi.
Well, I mean, if you met in person, I mean, you would say hi. I mean, you wouldn't just walk up and say, hey, I noticed you walking down the street and your shirt's really cool. And then, I mean, wouldn't you say hi first and then go into conversation? I mean, maybe I'm old. Maybe it's because I'm so old. I mean,
there's a difference though. You're online. So you have to work a little bit harder online versus when you're in person.
Yeah, even if it's something like, hi, I see you're from California. How do you like living there? Anything other than just hi. Or,
I think it's harder, Jared, because it's almost like you're talking to like Mars. You're sending off the signal. You got to wait 45 minutes for the reply, right? It's awkward, right? Hi. And then you're like, oh, she's not getting back to me. And then 3 hours later, you get a hi back. It's like, well, how do you get the conversation rolling with like 2 highs in 3 hours? So yeah, you've got to come up with something clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
would try and at least pose a question so that gives them something to like interact back with. I mean, and don't make it like a really crazy question like, hey, so where do you live and what are your kids' names? You know, like that's kind of a creeper question. Like just say like,
Yeah.
hey, you know, I notice you're a great match. You have a pretty smile. Like, you know, do you live in California? Do you like California? I don't know, whatever, you know.
Well,
If
I
they're
mean,
like,
hopefully you're not asking that because it should show their location. But I mean, yeah, no, all right, cool.
have you
I'm
lived in
gonna mute
California
myself.
long? Whatever, you know.
All right.
Something that makes it where there's a question they can reply to, but I literally don't think I've ever replied to a hi, ever.
I haven't even.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, that's those are awkward. Those are really awkward.
All right, I think we're
I
at
had
the
a
end of our-
couple of
More
other questions, I think.
Oh, do we have more questions?
We
No.
had
Oh, okay.
Eric.
Oh, we do?
Did they put their hand down, I guess?
I don't see another one.
I think iPhone Eric was up at one point. But
Oh, but we can
I don't
we
see.
can run to the after party. I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversations in the after party.
True.
true.
All
Okay.
right, looks like we're good.
Well, it is always great to have Teri on. Teri, you're a great conversationalist. And so this goes back to what you were saying. You want a guy who can have great conversation. And
Yes,
so if
absolutely important to me. Mhm.
if tonight's podcast is indicative of anything, it's that Teri wants to talk to somebody, like meaningfully talk to them.
I'm a Gemini. I'm true to my sign. I'm a talkative person.
Right.
Yep,
Yes.
I'm a Gemini over here too. Gemini's
Oh,
Gemini's
Let's
rule.
go. We're fighting for it.
Yep. So, well, I really appreciate you coming on, Teri. It's always great to see you back, you know, and we'll probably end up having you back on again at some point to discuss some other deep issue because Teri is a great resource to have to talk about all of
Absolutely.
these things. So I appreciate you coming on tonight, Teri. Do you have any last pearls of wisdom you would like to tell guys, like do this or don't do this when you're reaching out to girls?
You know, I don't. I think just being yourself and being comfortable in who you are and your own skin and being confident, you know? I think that's just really what it comes down to. And just you know, yeah. I think that's just really it. Like there isn't really a wrong way or a right way. It's either gonna work or it's not. So
Well, and just to reiterate too, confident, not cocky.
Yeah,
Fake confidence is a massive turnoff for girls.
yeah, for sure.
What you
And-
doing?
Yeah.
I actually like that meme though. I mean that GIF. Sorry, that one I think's funny.
yeah. Because if you try too hard, it just comes across wrong,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah.
Yeah. Because everybody's looking to date somebody that's fake right off the bat. That's just a massive like, dude.
That's what I go for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just send me pictures of yourself in the bathroom with your shirt off right now. That's just hot.
Right.
Like, I love your
Right.
fake confidence. I want to see that like photoshopped six pack that you got.
Yeah,
That's
if
great.
you see my face when I see those pictures, it's priceless. Just saying.
Right. Right. Well, Teri, thank you. And just to wrap up, you know, I don't know if we kind of started off this way. I apologize for being late, but had to kind of run and drop my kids off tonight. So I appreciate you being on. For anybody that's tuning in for the first time, please give us a like on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. We will have this posted here shortly. And if you're interested, we always have, after we're done with this portion, what we call the after party, where it's just sort of a hangout. If you would like to turn your microphone and camera on, you're certainly welcome to. There's no obligation to, though, if you want to just hang around and listen, or if you want to just turn on your microphone. But it's sort of
It is
a
actually
free, open
easier.
forum for everybody at that point. But it's after we turn the recording on, or off. So
Yeah.
again, thank you everybody for chiming in, and thank you, Teri, for being awesome and coming on yet
Thank you,
again.
Terry.
And we appreciate it. So at this point, we'll go ahead and turn the recording off or give it a stop and invite everybody in the audience